You are being watched right now. Some part of you already knows it. You felt it the moment you walked into a quiet parking garage, or sat with your back to a restaurant door, or heard a sound in your house at 3 in the morning that you could not explain. That feeling is not anxiety. That feeling is not weakness. That feeling is one of the oldest and most effective survival systems ever built by evolution, and it has been running inside you without a pause for 2.5 million years. The problem is that it was never updated. Your brain is not a modern machine. It is an ancient one, patched and rewired over millions of years, carrying every emergency subroutine that kept your ancestors alive long enough to have children. And one of those subroutines, one of the most deeply embedded programs in the entire system, is a threat detection engine so sensitive, so relentless, so impossible to shut off that it still fires today in a world where the predators are mostly gone. Your brain still thinks you are being hunted, and today, you are going to understand exactly why. Start with the basics. Around 2 million years ago, your ancestors were not the dominant species on the African savanna. They were prey, not top predators, not even close. They were small, slow, mostly hairless mammals with no claws, no venom, no natural armor, and eyes positioned on the front of their heads in a way that made them easy to spot from the side. Leopards hunted them. Hyenas hunted them. Large eagles picked off their children. Crocodiles waited at the water sources they could not avoid. For the first 99% of human evolutionary history, the question your brain had to answer was not how to build a fire or plan a trade route. The question was, is something about to kill me? The brains that answered that question well survived. The brains that answered it badly did not. And over 2 million years, natural selection did not build a calm, rational, wait-and-see threat assessment center. It built something far more extreme. It built a system that assumes danger first and asks questions second. Researchers call this the negativity bias. The term sounds clinical. The reality is anything but. In 1998, psychologist Roy Baumeister published a landmark review titled, simply, "Bad is Stronger Than Good." His conclusion, backed by decades of studies, was that negative events, negative emotions, and negative information hit the brain harder, linger longer, and shape behavior more powerfully than positive equivalents of the same intensity. Losing $20 hurts more than finding $20 feels good. A single insult at a dinner table stays with you longer than 3 compliments. A threat seen once from the corner of your eye recruits more neural resources than 100 safe sunsets you have enjoyed without thinking. This is not a personal flaw. This is engineering. Your brain has a structure called the amygdala. It sits deep in the temporal lobe, roughly the size of an almond, and it is the fastest processor in your entire nervous system for one specific category of input: threat. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping the amygdala's pathways and discovered something that should give you pause. The amygdala receives threat signals from your senses before the thinking part of your brain, the cortex, even knows what is happening. This is what researchers call the low road. Your body begins reacting before your conscious mind is informed. Your heart rate changes. Your pupils dilate. Your muscles prime for movement. All of this happens before the rational you has had time to evaluate whether the situation is actually dangerous. You hear a branch snap behind you and you are already moving. The thought comes after. This was a survival masterstroke for the savannah. A small delay in threat detection was all a leopard needed. The amygdala's speed advantage, firing before the slow, deliberate cortex could weigh the options, meant that your ancestors who had the fastest threat response were the ones who escaped. And those are the ancestors you descended from. Every person alive today is the product of an unbroken chain of individuals whose threat detection was fast enough to matter. The cost of that speed is false alarms. Millions of them. Psychologist Steven Pinker and anthropologist Mark Schaller have both written extensively about what Schaller calls the behavioral immune system, the array of psychological responses human brains evolved to avoid not just physical predators but social and biological threats as well. But the original engine underneath all of it is simpler and more ancient than that. It is what happens when you take a brain designed for a world of immediate physical danger and drop it into a world where the immediate physical danger is mostly gone. Think about what your ancestors faced. a shadow moving in tall grass, a sound that did not match the pattern of wind, an unfamiliar face at the edge of the group. Each of these inputs triggered the same evaluation. Is this going to kill me? And the safest answer, the answer that cost the least in survival terms, was always to assume yes. If you assumed danger and you were wrong, you wasted a burst of adrenaline and ran for nothing. If you assumed safety and you were wrong, you were dead. Evolution has no mercy for the second type of error. Anthropologists call this error management theory. The logic is asymmetric. False positives, seeing a threat that is not there, are cheap. False negatives, missing a threat that is real, are catastrophic. So the brain built a machine that overdetects. It is biased toward alarm. And that machine is running inside you right now in a world full of cars and offices and social media and all the thousand small modern stressors that are not leopards but feel, to the ancient part of your brain, exactly like them. Consider what happens to your body when your boss sends a terse email that says only, "See me in my office." Your amygdala fires, cortisol spikes, your chest tightens, your thoughts race through worst-case scenarios, you scan for threat cues, and your body does all of this for the same reason it would have done it 2 million years ago if you had heard something large breathing in the grass near your sleeping children. The system cannot tell the difference. To your ancient threat detection engine, social rejection is as dangerous as a predator. Because on the savannah, it was. Being cast out from the group was a death sentence. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman's research at UCLA showed that social pain activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. An insult does not just hurt in a metaphorical sense. It hurts in the same circuitry, processed by the same regions, evaluated by the same ancient hardware. Your brain classes being excluded from a meeting in the same threat category as being stalked in the dark. This is not an overreaction. This is a system doing exactly what it was built to do. It was just built for a world that no longer exists. And here is where it gets stranger still. Your brain does not only react to threats that are present, it simulates them, constantly. Psychologists call this prospective cognition, the brain's ability to run forward simulations of possible futures. And your threat detection system hijacks this ability. You lie awake at night and your brain rehearses failure scenarios. It replays arguments. It anticipates rejection. It maps out dangers that have not happened and may never happen. From the outside, this looks like anxiety. From the inside, it looks like reason. Your brain genuinely believes it is helping you. It is running threat drills, preparing your body for dangers it has not yet encountered, trying to keep you alive using the only tool it was given. Researcher Ethan Cross at the University of Michigan has studied the tendency humans have to ruminate, to replay threatening or negative experiences in a mental loop. His work shows that this loop, the anxious replaying of past threats and future risks, was likely adaptive. The mind that kept returning to the dangerous encounter, examining it from every angle, remembering the details of what went wrong, was a mind that was less likely to walk into the same trap twice. But in a modern context, without a genuine physical threat to resolve, the loop has nothing to latch onto. It just keeps running. This is why your brain wakes you up at 3 in the morning to worry about a conversation from 6 years ago. The threat detection system found something it cannot fully resolve, and it will not stop processing until it does. It is trying to protect you. It does not know how to stop. And yet, knowing this changes something. Not everything, not immediately, but something. When you understand that your anxiety is not weakness and not malfunction, when you understand that the tightening in your chest in a tense meeting and the sleeplessness before a hard conversation and the dread that follows you on a quiet Tuesday with no obvious cause are all the same ancient engine doing its ancient job, something shifts. You are not broken. You are the product of 2.5 million years of uninterrupted survival. Every panicked thought you have had is the most battle-tested alarm system on Earth, doing exactly what kept your ancestors alive long enough to become you. The predators are mostly gone. The system is not. Tonight, when something startles you in the dark, or a notification spikes your heart rate, or your mind loops back to that conversation you should have handled differently, you will know what is happening. Your brain, ancient and relentless and still scanning the savannah, will have spotted a shadow in the grass. It is only trying to bring you home.